Hello, hello, hello. It's coffee time again. I should have cleared my throat before I started. You know, it ticks down. You can feel the tickle. But we're starting coffee time today. I've got a good one. It's going to be a good one today. Trust me, it's going to be a good one. We've got an entry into the "I told you so" file. Yeah. Is it a new? I don't know if it's a new file, but let's go back to last week, and I talked about Nikki Marzek. Here she is. Do you remember her? And she was made head of the Northampton Fire Brigade, I believe it was. Wasn't it the Northampton Fire Brigade? Yeah. So she was made head of the fire brigade, even though she had zero experience of working in that service. Well, guess what? She had no training for a post, and she's quit. Yeah, she's quit. 10 days later, she's quit. She's quit the role because she had a friendship with Stephen Mould, who's the boss of everything, and he's the one who appointed her. And here they are together. See, really, it's one hand washing the other. And so, yeah, she stepped down, and now everyone in Northampton is saying that Stephen Mould should step down as well because he's a naughty boy. Yeah, he appointed Miss Marzek as a local fire brigade chief, despite her never having any experience. And yeah, she received criticism from the fire brigade union from the area, who said her appointment was unusual and she had no operational understanding of the role. But yeah, she'd had a long working relationship with Stephen Mould, who's a Tory councillor, of course he is. And yeah, it's all over now. It's all over. Told you everything would go absolutely fine, didn't I? Do you remember that? I was being facetious back then. Of course, it was going to be going to be a shit show. Am I allowed to say shit show? I just said shit show. Meanwhile, it's Just Stop Oil News, and it's getting a bit aggressive. Oh, hey, there you go. Give him a wallop, and down they go. Yes, it's getting a bit. It was a pregnant woman you saw. Protesting against the protesters. Yeah. The Just Stop Oil protest took a violent turn when a 21-year-old activist was punched and kicked to the floor after the group blocked a road in South Kensington, calling a pregnant woman to crash her car. But yeah, the victim, who was knocked to the ground, is Daniel Knorr, and he'd previously gained notoriety for being taken off of the Lords last month. Yeah, we covered that as well, remember? And now he ended up on his arse. Oh well, these things happen. And here's a picture of him. I think he's trying to. I think he's seen a wasp on his shoulder and he's trying to dislodge the wasp using his foot. That's the defence he should use in court. So I'm here as his lawyer. Yeah. I think we're going to see more of this, funny enough. Don't you? People are getting a bit fed up. Because again, the police aren't doing their job. They should be clearing them off the roads. They did it at the Pride Festival, didn't they? When they blocked Pride, the police couldn't get on their rainbow-coloured helmets quick enough and remove them from blocking the Pride floats. But here, they let them get away with murder. And it's just going to end up getting worse and worse and worse. Meanwhile, do you remember Nigel Farage? Do you remember Nigel Farage? What was he? Was he again the most successful politician of the 21st century in the UK? Even though he's never held a seat, for he successfully campaigned for the UK to leave the EU, and managed to do it. He pulled it off. Well, I don't know if you've been following his story. Have we got a framed picture of Nigel Farage up in the toilet, haven't we? It's a joke. It's a joke. Good old Nigel. No. He's had a trouble with these because he banks with Coots. Really, you've got to have some serious dosh to bank with them. But Coots suspended his bank account recently, and he wasn't too happy with it. And there's been a number of banks that have suspended accounts with customers and celebrities and who else who don't share their values. Now, this is the thing: values. Now, what values does a bank have? The only value a bank should have is to make money, or at least keep your money safe. That's the value. That's what crikey, HSBC don't even want to talk about the moral abyss that is the HSBC, and so other banks are out there. But the Coots have got all moral. They've got all moral. And good old Nigel, he managed to get a 40-page dossier, right, which did actually indeed say that he was at odds with their position as an inclusive organisation. First of all, I said because he didn't have enough money to bank with them. Because again, if you don't have enough money, the 331-year-old bank, which is used by all the rich knobs, all the big knobs, don't worry, I haven't got an account there. It's Monzo for me all the way. That's an online bank that poor people use. He managed to get a 40-page document that revealed why he was at odds with them, and it says, and this is the bullet points that they've pulled up here, because otherwise I'm not reading the whole 40 pages. It says his calls for the UK to leave the European Convention on Human Rights were listed as an example of adverse press. It raised concerns about his backing for Donald Trump, and it says there was also there was because he used a tweet of Ricky Gervais's trans joke, and his association with Novak Djokovic, because Novak Djokovic is anti-vax, I believe, and these all piled up and meant that poor old Nige was at odds with their position as an inclusive organisation. Well, one, they're not an inclusive organisation because you've got to have a shitload of money to bank with them, so that's a load of bollocks. And you make me defend Nigel Farage, really. Again, banking, whilst banks, well, any private organisation they can decide who is and who are and who will be their customers. You can refuse admittance. This whole thing about inclusivity is just cobblers. It's not a real reason to axe someone's bank account. We get into that whole area of limited and free speech, because again, once you take someone's bank account away from them, you limit their access to money. You limit their access to actually live a life as a free individual, and it's a really dangerous precedent that these organisations are setting. And also, what's really bad is you make me defend Nigel Farage. I don't like it. Stop it. Stop it. You'll be making me defend Lawrence Fox next. I won't have it. I won't have it. Poor Nige. But yeah, there's a big report, and there's actually scans. I guess he did a Freedom of Information request. But yeah, and you can't. Whatever you do, don't retweet Ricky Gervais. I can't, because Gervais blocked me. That's how controversial I am. I still don't know why. Last thing I tweeted was about dogs, and then I got blocked. There you go. So poor Nige. Meanwhile, inflation is dropped today. Yes. The CPI rate eased to 7.9% in June. It's gone down from 8.7%, so maybe things looking good. But good news, folks, because OVO, the people that have been sticking their hand up my bum for the last 6 months in order to get money out of me for gas and electricity, emailed me yesterday and said, "Oh, Mr. Long, we're going to reduce your direct debit because gas and electricity prices are going down." And I said, "Thank you. Could you take your hand out of my arse now, please?" But yeah, so that could be a good thing. Maybe prices are going back down again. Who knows? Who knows? I think it's all a jolly game. So maybe the economy's heading in the right direction, and who knows? Maybe we'll get another great Conservative government. Because I'll tell you one thing: Labour aren't doing anything to gain votes. Not only have they said that they're not going to make any changes to the economic policy, but you've got them saying that they won't get rid of the 2-child limit on child benefit, and they're calling Keir Starmer, was it the kid starver? I like it. I like it. What else have we got? Germany. They bombed our chip shop. Actually, they bombed my great aunt. Actually, very sad that. Bloody Germans. You can't do jokes about Germans anymore. But anyway, the Germans are considering bringing in siestas in order to deal with the soaring heat. Those poor Germans. The Germans are a bit like the Brits, really. We share a lot in common. A love of alcohol, and not being very good in the sunshine. So, a public health group in Germany has recommended that Germans adopt Spain's traditional afternoon nap during excessively high temperatures. I swear by afternoon nap. German Health Minister Karl Lauterbach said a siesta was certainly not a bad proposal. He also said that they'll do it much more efficiently than the Spanish. That's a joke. So you can do jokes about the Germans. Whilst the BDA Employers Association said it was open to the idea to deal with the scorching temperatures. And this is a German in Berlin who's got a bit of a hot head. Not anymore, son. There you go. So that's the good thing about being bald. Is when you come in from the sun, you can literally put your head under the cold tap. It's so refreshing. But there you go. So the Germans are going to have a little siesta, and there's lots of pictures of European people getting hot. Meanwhile, I've got cult news. 2 bits of cult news actually. This is the story of. Don't worry, we'll get there in a minute. David Turner. David Turner died from an aggressive brain tumour in 2017, but he left the bulk of his wealth to Sam Jones, who is quoted, he treated like a son. And Sam Jones, it says here, he worked as a burger bar chef. But David Turner left £5 million to him. They call David Turner eccentric businessman. I don't know if he was eccentric. They just struck up a friendship at the roadside snack bar that Sam Jones ran. So anyway, they met 17 years previously, so they'd known each other for a while, and they had a passion for guitars and classic cars. It reminds me of Dear Alan. It really does. And but he didn't get on with his sister, and he labelled her a conniving bitch, right? Linda Kano, and they were estranged, and so he wasn't a big fan of her, and he cut her out the will. She wasn't in the will, right? So yeah, Mr. Turner, who ran a skip hire business, left Mr. Jones his home, the former family pig farm at Woodside Farm in Bitham's Lane in Chertsey in Surrey, which has been in the Turner family for 70 years. And this is Sam Jones going to court over this case, because as you can imagine, the sister took him to court because she wanted her share of the estate. She said, no, the farm and everything should be mine. And he said, he argued, well, no, we were friends, and he left it to me. On top of that, he bequeathed a half share in a 14-acre plot near the M25, which could have a price tag of up to £10 million, And yeah, so yeah, it's a pretty big legacy he got left. And yeah, Mrs. Kano, who lives in Spain, argued that it couldn't be proved that her brother had not destroyed his original will after changing his mind about who he wanted to inherit his fortune. She asked the judge to nullify the 2013 will, which would have left her free to inherit under the laws of intestacy, because no other will existed, and she stood in line as next of kin. But the judge, Master Matthew Marsh, ruled against Mrs. Kano at the High Court, leaving Mr. Jones free to inherit his friend's fortune. During the trial, Rose Featherstone, excuse me, Mr. Jones' barrister said there was ample evidence that Mr. Turner wanted his long-time friend to inherit his fortune, pointing out that Mr. Jones cared for him in his final months and organised both his funeral and his wake. Not only was his sister excluded from benefiting, but from the will, but Mr. Turner was adamant that she shouldn't get a penny of anything. So there you go. Mr. Turner was described as a highly gregarious character with a passion for shooting, classic cars and music. But he wasn't a big fan of his sister. So there you go. The drinks are on Mr. Jones. There you go. So there you go. In other court news, Noel Clarke, you might remember him from Doctor Who. He was accused, here he is, he was accused of all sorts of things by various women. Though, again, it's one of those cases where it's a she said, he said case, because none of those women went to the police or whatnot. 20 women made allegations against him because they'd worked with him and everything. But of course, all this stuff is unproven. If it's unproven in the court of law, then you're open to libel and defamation. Well, Noel Clarke, he's going to be taking the Guardian newspaper to court for £10 million over a series of false articles. Well, he claims that they're false, alleging sexual misconduct. Mr. Clarke said the 8 articles had a catastrophic impact on his career and caused him to suffer a devastating financial loss of £10 million. He claims that every existing and upcoming contract he had been cancelled, and he hadn't had a single work contract since the first Guardian article appeared in April 2021. Mr. Clarke was never arrested over the claims, as the Met Police said there was not enough evidence against him to warrant a criminal investigation. So that's going to be interesting, because in the court case, the Guardian are going to have to prove that these women were telling the truth. So we're veering into libel and defamation now. If the Guardian are sensible, they'll settle out of court, because they've got to get every woman's story to line up. They've got to get every woman's story to be proven true in a court of law. And interesting case, a fascinating case, a legal case that is. And we'll see what happens there. Oh, they've revealed who's taken on Sadiq Khan. The Tory contestant who's stepping up is Susan Hall. She's going to be going up. I thought she just got Boris to do it. Boris Johnson. She was announced today as the London mayoral candidate for the Conservatives for 2024. Would it be fun if it would have been Jeremy Corbyn? We was talking about Corbyn yesterday, weren't we, being the mayor? And yeah, I don't really have any feelings over it, because we don't get a say out here, even though the policies of the London Assembly affect us in Essex, because the tube comes this way and so does the buses and London Transport, and that's all run by them. And but we don't get a say, and it should be everyone within the M25 should get a say on who the mayor is. See, politics, it's not working. We need a benevolent dictator like me. Oh yeah, absolutely. Here's a story for you. A woman claims she was struck by a meteorite earlier this month. Right? The unnamed victim was enjoying a coffee with a friend on the terrace of home in Schirmeck, northeastern France, when she felt a shock in her rib area. It followed a bang on the roof above her, leading to the assumption that she'd been hit by a meteorite. Yeah. She thought it was an animal at first, maybe a bat, because these things happen, but then she noticed a golf ball sized rock. There you go. Was this the space rock? I don't know. But anyway, she took it to local geologist Dr. Thierry Redman for identification. And he said it contained a mixture of iron and silicon, which is typical of meteorites. But several experts have disputed the claim. And one of them, astronomer Jeremy Vabriant, said that the pictures he'd seen clearly shows it wasn't a meteorite. He said it had too many angles to be from space. The meteorites have no pointy or irregular spikes because the rock melts as it enters the atmosphere due to the surrounding superhot plasma. And yeah, they reckon. See, this is what it would look like if it was a genuine space rock. As you can see, smooth. The other one wasn't; it was jagged. And so they're saying what's happened is they reckon it was either a bit of rubble that fell off the roof, or maybe a burglar threw it up to see if there was anyone at home and it hit her. But it certainly wasn't a space rock, they're saying. There you go. Woman doesn't get hit by a meteorite. I bring you all the best news here. All the best news. So here we go. This is the moment where I start lowering the tone. There you go. Scientists have called for urgent research, right, into, are you ready? Sex in space. David Cullen, Professor of Bioanalytical Technology at Cranfield University, is calling for urgent research into the consequences of sex in space. He says, my colleagues and I believe that space tourism companies haven't adequately prepared for the consequences of people joining what we could call the Kármán Line Club, he wrote in an article for The Conversation magazine. The Kármán Line is a boundary 62 miles above the sea level that marks the beginning of space. And it says, while NASA doesn't explicitly ban sex in space, its astronaut code of conduct calls for relationships of trust and professional standards. The Space Agency also banned any married couples from going to space together. There you go. Do you know why? Because the nagging, you can't get away from her. If you're on the space station, you can't get away from her, can you? You can't go. I suppose you go for a spacewalk. So I'm just popping out until you've made that sandwich for me. I'm just going for a spacewalk. So there you go. But yeah, Professor Cullen claims that sex in space will happen within the next decade. Well, I don't think it will. Do you know why? Because which way's up in space? Huh? Which way's up? You don't know. And up is a very important area, isn't it? Where does it go? And also, you need gravity. You need physics to push against. And without any gravity, you're just going to be like kind of... I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think. But yeah, they reckon sex in space wouldn't be straightforward because of the lack of gravity. And also, bodily fluids. Oh, God, something's got in my eye. That's put you right off, isn't it? So, and also astronauts who spend long periods of time in space suffer weaker bones and muscles, blurred vision, and apparently get a high risk of cancer. But yeah, with those weaker bones, you won't even have the energy to thrust. Have I lowered the tone? No, I can lower the tone further. Shall we lower it further? Go on then. let's talk about Paul. This is something. This is about men who are a little bit insecure about their little chat. Yeah, and what's happening is men are injecting lip filler into their penises to add extra inches of girth. Yeah, and Paul, a 39-year-old from Texas, had heard his wife making fun of little Paul during the breakdown of their marriage. And as he was going to look for someone new to play with, he decided penis filler procedures was for him. Like lip filler, it's supposed to be totally reversible because it involves injecting a dissolvable gel. So this is what they. Nah, I think I'll give that a miss. There aren't any pictures, are there? No. Apparently, the fallow fill procedure helps patients choose which girth to go for. Is that really a little squishy aubergine they've used? It is. Oh my god. What, so do you pop your man into the tube to fill... What? I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. But yeah, this is fallow fill. And would you get any surgery from this man? He looks like he's been created by AI, doesn't he? Like, what? You're not coming anywhere near my cock with that needle, Mr. William Moore. Willy. I think not. Willy Moore. You want more Willy, see? He's not real. He's made up. He's made up. But yeah, so for Paul, he said he was left with a big, squishy, lumpy disaster after his first shots. But Jordan Tunnel, he was quite pleased. He said the procedure made him go through the roof, and here he is. Okay, but I don't know about that. Meanwhile, a German man died from sepsis after silicone oil from a penis enlargement jab ended up going into his bloodstream. So, but yeah, for that surgery procedure, it cost $6,000 to $12,000. Yeah, and they used 20 syringes of gel, and men get between an extra half an inch to 1.5 inches. I correct. You just slam it in the door, can you? Slam it in the door. That'd be a lot cheaper. I don't know about that. What's that? What's that? You want me to go a bit lower? Do you want me to lower the tone? I can do that. I can lower the tone. Let's go to France. Should we go to France? Apparently, we're going to the village of Portet-sur-Garonne near Toulouse. French newspaper La Pêche. That means fast, doesn't it? I reported that a fight broke out between a couple on Monday, July the 10th. Right? They're both drunk and are arguing because the missus accused the husband of cheating at a party. And the 45-year-old man was end up in hospital. How so? Well, during the argument, the 36-year-old woman got so angry that she ripped off part of her husband's penis, and after she grabbed it and pulled it really hard. Yeah. Apparently, the attack was so brutal that the man was bleeding profusely, with large parts of the skin of his penis and foreskin ripped away. And this is the hospital they got taken to. There are no pictures of the aftermath, thank goodness. But blimey, she must have been really angry. She also attacked her husband's ear and tore a piece off of that as well. I don't think he was worried about the ear. But yeah, he was conscious when the ambulance crew arrived, but apparently in terrible pain. But it's unknown whether she used a knife or other sharp object in the attack. It was probably just fingernails. But yeah, prosecutors' officers opened an investigation, and they said his life wasn't in danger, but he is suffering, and the wife's been arrested. She'd been charged with aggravated assault, while the husband he's faced known assault charges for his attack on his wife. So it goes either way. But he didn't pull anything off of her. But let's hope he makes a swift recovery. It's not good, is it? Good. Meanwhile, now it's almost like they know. And meanwhile, we're going to the beaches of Maltila, which is north of the Rio Grande, and this washed up on the beach. Yeah, thousands of 10-inch penis fish have washed up on a beach in Argentina. Yeah, because there is a fish that looks like that. Here they are, close up. Blimey, you can see the foreskin and everything. I am so demonetised. I'm so demonetised. Yeah, they're sea worms, and they're sought after in Asia for their medicinal properties. Suck on one of these until it gets hard. Oh God, I've hit a new low. But yeah, here they are, all along the beach. So it's the sea worm known as Eurychis unicinctus line the beach for 15 kilometres. That's about 3 miles in proper money, north of the city of Rio Grande in Argentina. Fill your boots there. Fill your boots. Good for you. What else have we got? Mind you, I've done enough. I've actually done enough. We've got Britain's most confusing street. Why not? Let's have a look at that. This is Denmark Road in Oldfield Park in Bath. And they've got new bendy parking spaces and rules which say that people can't leave their cars in them. They've got contradictory road spaces. These are new residence parking zones. And so yeah, these residence zones all have an H-bar parked in them. Well, obviously there's a reason. I can tell you why that H-bar's there, because there's a drop curve. Look, and you can't park over a drop curve. So you can park in that. Okay, they should have probably ended the dotted line. They should put the dotted line there. But that, you can't park there because of a drop curve. Huh? Are people stupid? Well, that's just... Yeah, I mean, you're never going to... Unless you've got a car shaped like a banana, you're never going to get into that space. Yeah, but... That's the other. That's another one with the drop curve. See, drop curve. It's because people have got driveways. See, you need individual bays. They were lazy. They didn't do individual bays. So you could have had a bay there. But yeah, it's not that confusing. See, it makes sense if you look at it like that. But yeah, I think people like a bit of a meal out of it. But I do like the bendy. I like the bendy car space. That's obviously it's for motorbikes. See, motorbikes only. There. I don't know. else have we got? We've got the Women's World Cup coming. And the good thing about the Women's World Cup is former England lioness Farah Williams and Chelsea player and England under-19 player Rihanna Blades have taken part in an empowering new lingerie campaign. So, okay. I say I guess it's something for the dads, isn't it? I mean, you wouldn't want to see, this is great. Thanks, Daily Mail. And yeah, you don't get that with the men's football, do you really? And that's why I'm a big supporter of women's football. They just don't change the shirts at the end of the match like that, do they? They don't swap shirts anymore like they used to. Oh dear. Quick cult news. We've got some crazy here. This is a glamour model who calls herself Luscious Lorna. This is Lorna Silcock, 33, single mother of 5. Let's have a look. Let's see if she is indeed Luscious Lorna. I don't know about that. Don't fancy yours much. It's standard. It's pretty standard stuff, isn't it? Really. But yeah, she was up in court because she attacked a teaching assistant. Of course she did. She attacked Kaylee Rutherford and she dragged her to the ground in a public park in Macclesfield in Cheshire. This happened in the Easter holidays in front of Miss Rutherford's baby and 12-year-old daughter on April the 10th last year. The victim said the brutal assault left her in fear of leaving her home and unable to string a sentence together due to the trauma. And this is because the teaching assistant accused Lorna Silcock's kids of bullying. And so she exerted her revenge and beat her up. Prior to the attack, Miss Rutherford, who works at a primary school in Macclesfield, had berated Silcock's children for teasing her daughter, but they responded, "Our mum's going to batter you," and so it came to pass. But don't worry, Silcock, who's also a beautician from Macclesfield and models on the subscription website exclusive link. It sounds a bit like a pro website myself. You know what I'm saying? Admitted assaulting occasional actual bodily harm and was sentenced to 40 months in prison, suspended for 18 months with a requirement to complete 20 rehabilitation activity days. So there we go. So Luscious Lorna got away with it. I tell you, she's going to have to sell a few hours to clear any fines she's got. File that one under crazy. What else have we got? Oh blimey, I better go. I think it's time to go, because isn't it Bacon Day today? I can't remember. And I've done far too much. I'm trying to find an animal story. Have we got an animal story? No, I have to go in the funny folder. There aren't any animal stories on the site. Let's meet Wellington. And Wellington is a Great Dane, right? And he's more than a foot taller than his owner, Alice Bannister. Yeah, he's 6'4". Look at him. He's a whopper. He's 2.5 years old. And yeah, he's a foot taller than his owner. But he's been described as a gentle giant who's scared of his own shadow. And here's a great action shot of him. Look at that. That's great. He really is like Scooby-Doo, isn't he? There you go, I like it. But yeah, he's scared of bin bags, the postman, and anyone wearing high-vis jackets. Alex and Meg didn't like the orange, and I think it's to do with their eyesight. Here he is as a puppy. Ah, look at him. What a lovely, lovely chap. Wellington. Ah, and there you go. Big dog story. Is that all right? Hopefully that was good, wasn't it? That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, that was good. Shall we see if there's anybody in? 11 people in. Blimey. It's almost a party. Ain't it just? Andrew's in. He says, I'm in. Good afternoon to you. Same to you. And he says, I'm going to leave all my wealth to you. What, £2.50? Oh dear. Well, okay, but can you leave all the girly mags to charity? Because you know, I don't know if it's all the pages they get stuck together, don't they? Andrew says, lost in space indeed. Fasana says, Grey Darren. No love in. I think it means good day. No love in space. Well, you know, hand job. Always a hand job, I suppose. And Jez Davis says afternoon. Fasana says coffee time today as a Willy theme. Indeed. Jez says, I think the Mac lads maybe have a song for that. I'm sure they do. And Fasana says, let's hide a tone. No, I'm going to. Women's World Cup photos. Merci indeed. And G-Man says, this afternoon I've been set up my new TV. All I can say is old HD TV blows away the brand new AI TV. Oh, blimey. What kind of TV have you got? Well, I don't know. Got a new telly. Blimey. What is it 4K? Or is it 8K? You got one of those 8K televisions. That'd be good. So yeah, that was it. That was coffee time. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. There's not a lot I can do if you haven't. And we'll see you again soon. Killing the channel one video at a time. That was the news. You know you've got to drink it out. Ta-ta.